You kids can't live comfortably on $20 an hour. You have to be overspending. We got to break this down very quickly to give people perspective into the Gen Z's lives. If you make $20 an hour in 2024, that is $40,000 a year. After taxes, that is $2,750. The average one-bedroom apartment and utility is going to run you $2,000. You cannot do that making $20 an hour, so you're going to have to rent with a roommate for about $1,200, and that's being conservative. $500 a month for groceries, which is less than $150 a week. $300 for a student loan payment, which is below average. $300 for a car payment, which is below average. $150 for car insurance, $150 for gas, $100 for personal care, $50 for a cell phone is $2,750. That is paycheck to paycheck, leaving you with nothing for savings, investments, the big one, health insurance, because I'm assuming they're under 26 years old, and zero fun. Now, if they were to make $30 an hour in 2024, that's $60,000 a year. That's $3,900 after taxes. Maybe they decide to get their own place for $2,000 and everything else stays the same. They're left with $350 a month, which is essentially still paycheck to paycheck. This is the cost of living in America in 2024. The idea of $20 an hour, even for me when I graduated high school, was a ton of money. Now, $20 to $30 is minimum wage.
People are calling it entitled to want to live alone, and I genuinely don't understand that, because we're not talking about a penthouse. Like, we're literally just talking about a one-bedroom apartment where we don't have to coordinate with multiple people and we can just have our own space. Like, that used to be called just being an adult, and the fact that working full-time doesn't even guarantee that anymore is the actual issue.
Currently living a Monday that I can't even fathom is real. I started off by going to the vet for my dog. $327 for his second infection of this month. Okay. Get home, need to check something on the pills he takes, so I open up his food bin. No food in the bin. $60 bag of dog food incoming. Perfect. Get in the car. Gas light turns on. Time to refuel. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then I thought it was over. I said, it's over, it's done. That's all that can happen to me. No, I get a notification from State Farm. Your car insurance is due. Actually, it's past due, by the way. Yes, these are tears in my eyes right now. Okay. Oh, I want to be an adult. I want to be an adult. This date might kill me.
You all noticed that grocery store prices have begun to spike again? I was just at Walmart today. My wife and I went shopping there. We spent $189 and we had 3 bags of groceries. 3 bags. One thing in particular that I noticed was kind of odd was that a head of lettuce, just a little head of lettuce in a bag, was $2.68 or $2.69. They had like can't remember if it was like T-bone steaks or sirloin steaks. 2 steaks, $18. The one thing I noticed, that chicken wasn't awful. Chicken was like $1.19 a pound. I think a pack of like chicken legs was like $6 or $7. But cereal is absolutely outrageous. Like $7 for a box of cereal. A container of non-fat or full-fat Greek yogurt, plain Greek yogurt, was like $6. Have you looked at a 12-pack of soda? 12-pack of soda was like $9 or $10 for soda. I remember when you could get 4 12-packs for $10, but that may have been 20 years ago. But everything in these stores is absolutely outrageous. The clothing at Walmart, the food, the paper products, diapers, snacks, a bag of jerky. Everything is so overpriced. And I'm sorry, but I feel like the prices are going up, not down. Have you noticed that? Tell me what the prices are in the towns you shop.
The most unintelligent thing that you can say on the conversation of homelessness is that they should just get a job. Did you know 40 to 60% of people experiencing homelessness in America already have one? Crazy concept. Employment doesn't equal housing. Sometimes income is just not enough income. The National Low Income Housing Coalition says there's no state, no metro area, no county in America where a full-time minimum wage worker can afford a 2-bedroom. Statistically, at like a fair market rent. And in 2025, a full-time worker needed almost $29 an hour to afford a 1-bedroom rental home nationally. So when someone who's working 40 hours a week still can't afford basic apartments, maybe homelessness isn't about getting a job. And I mean, if we think about this toxic landlord-tenant culture, think about what it costs to move into an apartment, right? First month's rent, sometimes last month's rent, security deposit, application fees, there's credit checks, income requirements, deposits for your utilities. If you're already living paycheck to paycheck, where are you supposed to come up with thousands of dollars overnight? That's the trick to the system. They never want you to stop renting. And then people are like, oh, well don't rent, just go buy a house instead. That's becoming harder too. Housing is increasingly becoming an investment instead of just a place to live. People are buying houses to rent them. The Joint Center for Housing Studies of Harvard University said investors purchased nearly 31% of all single-family homes sold in the first quarter of 2025. That's almost 1 in 3 houses being purchased by investors instead of families looking for somewhere to live. That is insane. So whether it's large corporations buying neighborhoods or individual private landlords owning multiple properties, more homes are being purchased as rental investments instead of owner-occupied homes. Every house that is turned into a rental is one less opportunity for someone to become a homeowner. And that's the trick. Years of paying rent makes it harder to save for a down payment. We live in a society where landlords can own 10 houses, but the people working full-time inside those same communities can't afford one. And that's the main critique of capitalism. Renting is supposed to be temporary. It's supposed to be. But when rent is eating your paycheck, you never save enough to escape it. Owning a home has actually been one of the main ways families build wealth in America. But when you own a home, the money that you are spending every month can turn into something you actually own. But when you're renting forever, your money is only building your landlord's wealth instead of yours. And honestly, we can just look back in history and it proves my point. We know that withholding home ownership affects people's poverty levels. Black families, for decades, they were legally and financially shut out of buying homes in certain neighborhoods. Redlining was when banks and governments marked black neighborhoods as risky, which made it impossible for black families to get home loans. So black families weren't just denied houses, they were essentially just denied the chance to build any wealth or pass property down to their kids, escape poverty. That's the reason, one of the reasons, that racial wealth gap still exists today. Today's housing crisis is not the same thing as redlining, but the lesson's absolutely the same. When people are locked out of home ownership, they're locked out of one of the biggest ways that families build stability and wealth and get out of poverty in this country. On top of that, if you didn't know, cities have zoning laws that make it illegal or difficult to build the kind of housing that's actually affordable. So there's restrictions on like building duplexes, triplexes, courtyard apartments, like higher density housing. So on top of all of this, when you're limiting the amount of housing that can be built while the demand keeps growing and homelessness is increasing, the prices are going up. And I think also our distortion, like our distorted image of homelessness is part of the problem. When people hear the word homelessness, they picture someone sitting on a sidewalk asking for change. Nobody's picturing the woman who's sleeping in her car before heading to work, or the guy who has to shower at Planet Fitness before his shift. Right? Nobody's thinking about the families that are rotating between all of their relatives' different couches so that they can clock in every single morning and have someone to watch the kids. So the next time someone says, well, why don't homeless people get a job? 40 to 60% of them already do. The problem's not unemployment. Sometimes it's that having a job is no longer enough to guarantee a place to live. The system isn't broken, it's working exactly as it's supposed to, and it's not working for us. Okay?
Trap in your 20s isn't always about how much you make. It's a bunch of stuff hiding in plain sight that ain't nobody flagging for you, and I'm finna name them. Number 1, your phone bill, your internet, and your insurance. Never renegotiated. You signed up once and forgot. And believe me when I say companies will count on that. One phone call to each provider can easily knock off 20 to 50%. Nobody's willingly coming to give you your money back. Ask for it. They're gonna try to keep you under the plan anyway. Number 2, eating cheap, but eating cheap constantly. $8 here, $12 there, just so nothing feels like a real purchase. And by the end of the week, to be honest, you spent $90 on food that wasn't even good or good for you. And I don't eat out much is exactly what niggas be saying while doing this. Number 3, refusing to touch or create a high yield savings account just because A, they don't understand, and B, it sounds too complicated. Your money that you have saved, if you do, is sitting in a regular ass account, gaining nothing while inflation is eating that shit. Moving that money into a high yield takes less than 20 minutes and your money will eat and stack from there on out. It's not complicated, and trust me, I get it, you just never been shown. but I'm showing you. Number 4, buying things on payment plans and acting like it's free or something. Afterpay, Klarna, 4 easy payments. Every single one of those is debt without the extra steps. If you can't afford the full price now, you can't afford the 4 payments, gang. You just feel like you can. And the people who gonna come in the comments, oh, I use Afterpay, I do Klarna, da-da-da. Them 4 easy installments that you making weekly is taken away from where that extra money really should be going to. Number 5, not negotiating your salary or your hourly pay. You just jump to accept the first offer that they give. Just taking a raise that they give you without asking for more. Companies expect you to negotiate, but when you don't take that opportunity, like, yes, because they keeping you stuck. Sometimes they even have that margin built in for you to ask. And the people who get paid more, 9 times out of 10, they not working harder than you. A, they just in a higher role, or B, they simply just asked for higher pay. And if you give good reasoning, how could they say no? And all they can say is no. Ask. Lastly, number 6, having a job with no second skill. One income stream is 1 month away. One income stream is 1 month away from a problem. Building a skill on the side, content, trading, sales, nigga, anything. It's not a hustle. If you built like me, later on, hopefully, God willing, will replace that 9 to 5. Broke is a situation that you stay on when you rely on one source, or if you don't take that one source and do what you're supposed to do with it. The difference between broke and building is really just paying attention, gang, and educating yourself. Save this and pick one just to fix this week. I believe in you, gang. Right.
How are y'all paying anywhere between $1,600 and $2,000 a month for rent on $7.25 an hour? Seriously, I need somebody to show their work because the math ain't mathing. Because, you know, every time somebody always loves to say, folks don't want to work. I always laugh at that. There are plenty of jobs. The problem is, there's plenty of jobs that'll pay you money just enough, but not enough to get ahead. It's like being on a treadmill that charges you rent. You run at full speed, but you still ain't going nowhere. Think about it. Rent is $2,000. Then you still need lights, groceries, car insurance, gas, and the car itself. At this point, your paycheck is showing up like a contestant on a reality survival show. Back in my day, you could get a whole apartment, 1 bedroom, say, $450, plus utilities included. Now the landlords hand you the keys and a financial hostage situation. And then people wonder why folks got 2 and 3 jobs and still can't breathe financially. This ain't sustainable. So I want to know, are you surviving in this economy, or are you just learning how to drown slower? Let's talk about it.
You know, one thing you'll never hear me say on this app is for young people who are struggling right now to just do better and work harder. Because I got my first apartment in the 80s, right? And it was right here in Southern California. It was a 2-bedroom apartment, and I think it rented for somewhere around $650, $675 a month. And the average income in 1988, which is about the time that we were renting this apartment, was like $32,000 a year. And combined, me and my ex-husband were making well over that. So back then, the rent represented about 20 to 25% of the average income. So people could afford it, you know, then you had enough left over to do everything else you needed to do. And then in 1991, 1992, we bought our first house, $178,000 here in Southern California. And it was a nice neighborhood. Now, that was a lot in the early 90s, but you can't get shit for $178,000 anymore. At least in California, you can. So now what these young folks are looking at is like 50-60% of their income is going towards housing. That's the issue. So you will never, ever see me come on here and say, oh, just work harder, you're lazy. No. They were not dealt the same hand that we were, and we all know it. All right, love y'all. Bye.
Everybody's a celebrity. Lies. Everybody is living with somebody, struggling to fucking pay rent. And whoever uses this little quote has Section 8, housing, or a fucking housing voucher. People ain't a celebrity here. That's the reason the economic situation is all fucked up, because people really think up here that New York is that lit, when realistically citizens are fucking suffering the consequences. New York has been being abused a long ass time. New York, we are overpopulated 10 years ago. And what they do in New York is try to push the citizens out to get people that are just fantasizing about New York and dying to come here and dying to live here, get them in, charge 3 times the price because everybody wants to come to New York, right? And I don't understand why New Yorkers don't stand up, which is why I hate the quote when people be like, oh, New York, everybody's a celebrity. That's where y'all be fucking up. No, nobody's a celebrity here. That's a lie. In New York, none of us are celebrities. We are struggling quietly. How the fuck? Explain to me how the fuck we're celebrities. Everybody's trying to get Section 8 housing or some sort of voucher to help them to fucking not use 60% of their wage for rent alone. Everybody out here be scamming. Everybody be out here lives with somebody. You understand me? In New York, it is the culture of New York City that you have a roommate or you live with somebody, because New York is so fucking expensive that it's become a norm, which is why I hate that in New York, as a New Yorker, everybody likes to act like, oh, New Yorkers, everybody's a celebrity, blah, 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 blah. No, everybody's struggling, living with somebody in a fucking tight-ass apartment, paying ridiculous rent. Taxes in New York are over through the fucking roof. Inflation's through the fucking roof. Groceries, I paid $2.50 for 2 fucking peppers the other day. Like, and I think that, like, everybody, the economy is starting to affect everybody. And the moment New Yorkers stop this, we all rich and we all got it, and stop acting like everybody's above, you're gonna realize and really take a look around. We are literally working our asses off to pay taxes and rent. They tax your check. They tax your groceries. They tax your gas. They tax everything you fucking touch. They can't just tax everything else and not our paychecks. Like, if you own a business, they take 40%. And I just don't understand why it's taking so much erraticness for people to finally start saying, hey, look, what the fuck is going on here? But you know, I'm quietly working and I'm raising the tax bracket for myself so that as things get harder, and they will, I'm all right. I've always thought money was hella important. I'm not one of those people that say money don't matter. It matter. I like to have a bunch in the bank. I like to do whatever the fuck I want. I like to buy myself whatever the fuck I want. So, you know, and I have goals. I have goals because I think the economic situation's only gonna get worse. We're literally looking at ourselves and not sure if we're about to go to fucking war. So if I could say anything, New Yorkers, people, please, not just New Yorkers, wake the fuck up and stop living in fucking delusion. Meanwhile, we're all struggling.
Thank you for staying tuned, and thank you for being part of this great community. Now, we're going to talk about what is happening in the American middle class now today. Something is changing so fast in the American middle class, and for many families, it is becoming impossible to ignore, and it is so alarming to ignore, not to look into what is actually happening. People, many working middle class are working, they are earning salary and doing everything they were told would lead to a comfortable life and a greater future. Yet somehow, the money disappears faster than they appear. A paycheck that once covered grocery, rent or mortgage, transportation, and saving may now barely cover the basic need. Families are delaying major purchases, cutting back on entertainment, taking an extra shift work, and worrying about unexpected expenses. And the pressure is not only hitting low-income households. Many people who consider themselves firmly middle class are beginning to wonder whether they can still afford the lifestyle their parents once had. And now they are forcing out in a hard way. That raises a serious question. What happens when working hard is no longer enough to feel financially secure? American middle class has always been an important part of the country's economy strength. If millions of families continue feeling squeezed, the consequences could reach far beyond individual household. This is not about panic. It is about paying attention to what is actually happening before it gets to everybody. Because when the people carrying the economy begin struggling to keep up, America has a problem that cannot simply be ignored. If you enjoyed this
How are
commentary,
y'all
like,
paying
like
anywhere
and
between
subscribe, and turn on
$1,600
the
and
notification bell
$2,000
for
a
more
month
powerful
for
stories
rent
about
on
America and
$725 an hour?
economy, insight
Seriously,
about
I
African
need
American
somebody to show their
diaspora.
work because the math
Tell
ain't
us in the
math.
comment section
Because, you know,
what
every
is
time
putting the
somebody
biggest
always loves to
pressure
say,
on the
folks
middle
don't want
class
to
in
work. I
America
always laugh
today.
at that.
Is it
There
the
are
economy,
plenty of
or is it the
jobs. The
changing of
problem is,
Trump?
there's
Is it
plenty
the
of
changing
jobs
of our
they'll
administration?
pay you money
Tell
just
us, we'll
enough,
be able
but
to
not enough to
respond
get ahead.
respectfully.
It's like
Thank
being
you.
on a
See you in the next
treadmill
video.
that